So the majority of real estate agents that I've coached over the years, one of their biggest struggles is productivity. Is about getting everything done they need to do to hit their goals. Have you ever been distracted before? Have you ever worked for 3 months, 6 months, a year and said, where did the time go? And you didn't get to where you wanted to be. Well, that's a productivity issue. It's a focus issue. Today, I'm going to introduce you to the weekly productivity planner. This is all around the concept of picking 3. Pick something you love, pick something you like, and try something new. Now, this is something I created years ago when I had my own brokerage, but we're going to break it down a little bit. So before you even consider doing this, you need to know what your numbers are. So please be sure that if you don't know what your numbers are yet, go back to our YouTube video of how to earn 6 figures or more. And in that video, there's a download that you can figure out what your numbers are, meaning how many houses do you need to sell? How many appointments do you need to go on? How many relationships do you need? It's all about what are the most important numbers, because once you know your numbers, then we have to figure out how are you going to create, build, and maintain relationships so that you do hit your numbers, right? It's that source. You may know it more as the lead source. What is the way that you're going to create leads? I like to say relationships because we are in the relationship business. And a lot of agents make the mistake that they're always focused on the now. They're always focused on the sale. I want you to be focused on the relationship, because it's the relationships that will help you grow, stay in the business, and continue to grow and double your business over time. This is about long-term play. Now, the other thing is that in my career, I've built 3 major lead sources during my career. And in each lead source, I made hundreds of thousands of dollars. The last lead source, I was making $500,000 in a 12-month period from one source of relationships. One, not 4, not 10. And I wasn't chasing the shiny penny every 30 days. See, that's the point of this productivity planner. It's to help you stay extremely focused and master one source. If you master one source, then you don't have to do anything else. The other thing that happens is the other sources will magically appear during this process. And so how do you choose a source? What sources work? Well, excuse me. First, you've got to choose what's going to work. Now, you can only have 3 sources. If you're brand new, I really only want you to have 2. But again, this can be somewhat negotiable, and this really depends on each person. If you are an agent that has a big team, if you've got an expansion team, then yes, having more than 3 sources is probably something that you need to consider. But I would suggest that you have each individual on your team focused on one major source, one source that they're earning the majority of their income from, because then you can build upon that. Now, before we get started, pick 3. Pick something you love, pick something you like, and try something new. One of these sources will always be your sphere of influence. This is something that you should always be growing, developing, and mastering, because the people that already know, like, and trust you are the people that you want to be doing business with you. They're the people that already think of you when they think of real estate, or do they? That's another conversation for another day. But you want to consistently be building your sphere of influence and growing it and watering it. When I first got into real estate, I had 0 sphere of influence. No, legitimately, where I lived, I didn't know anybody. I had just moved from Atlanta, Georgia. I'd been gone for 10 years, and I had to start from scratch. So I knew I needed to go all in on creating relationships, because the process is you create, you build, and maintain. And if you don't have any relationships to maintain and you don't have any to build, the only thing that matters is creating relationships. And so I went all in on creating relationships when I first got started. When I got started in 2009, I got started with cold calling. And actually, here's what happened. I was completely broke. I had just moved to a new city. I was staying at a best friend's house, and I called his dad and I said, "Hey, do you have anything that I can do?" He said, "Will you cold call for $12 an hour?" That's my story. That's how I got into real estate. And of course I said yes. I fell in love with cold calling. I know that sounds crazy, but there's a reason I fell in love with it. One, my form of communication is the phone. I enjoy talking the phone. I enjoy talking to people. And so I could sit down for free. This was a free tool that I could use. They printed up the list of phone numbers for me. I could sit there at a desk for 6, 7, 8 hours, and I could just call. and say hello. And honestly, this is how it was. It was like, hey, this is AJ Ackerman. I was with Century 21 when I first started. Hey, this is AJ Ackerman with Century 21. I was just giving you a call to see if you were in the market to buy or sell a home. That's what I did over and over and over again. Now, here's why I'm telling you this. I closed deals from cold calling for a year and a half up to 6 and 7 years later. It was magical, but it's because I stayed in touch. It's because I went all in on cold calling. I made hundreds of thousands of dollars from it. But ultimately in the beginning, I knew I didn't want to do it forever. I'm just like you. I didn't want to cold call. I didn't picture my life becoming a cold caller for the rest of my life, and it wasn't something I want to do forever. So I had to come up with a plan. Now, as I earned more money, I moved out. I got a car, I rented a place, and I was able to reinvest in my business. This is how it works. I went all in on one source, mastered it, became a great communicator on the phone. I learned about tonality. I learned about volume. I learned how to communicate. I learned how to picture people. One day, if you ever want me to do a conversation about how to be productive and connect with people on the phone, I'm happy to do that with you. But I went all in on cold calling. The second source, okay, was Trulia before Zillow bought them. So I had started making money. I paid somebody to help me start building out my online presence, my website, because this was 2010. It was important to start building these things out. I knew if I wanted to do more business, I needed to get online. He said, you need to do Trulia. It's awesome. I invested another 18 months in Trulia. I went on there every single day. I figured out the algorithm. I answered questions. I did ebooks. I had a list of targets and things to do that were the most important things, and I stuck with it over time. Within 18 months, I was the #1 real estate agent on Trulia in Cape Coral, Florida. And we were generating about 90 leads a month up to that point. So I was referring business out because I had more than I could handle, and I was making money using leverage from other agents. That was source number 2. Now, before I go to source number 3, let me explain something to you. Here is how this tool works, because let's get back to the weekly productivity planner, because that's how this was developed. So first, you're going to write your name and date, and you can download this below. Just click the button. We'll send you a copy of this, and you're going to figure out what your target is for the year. So if your target is to sell $5 million in real estate a year, if you're brand new, that's a good starting point. Then you have to figure out, okay, based on this lead source, how much business do I want to do in a 12-month period? So if I'm using cold calling as an example, and it's the majority of my business, I may be writing down that I'm going to close 3 to 4 million in just cold calling. Now, here's what you do every single week, because there's a lot of things you could do. And we have a lot of things that we come up with, ideas, thoughts, things that we want to do for our business. I want you to come up with the 3 to 5 most important things that need to be done this week to help you with that goal. I'm going to repeat that because this is an extremely powerful question that will completely keep you focused and know exactly what to do as long as you decide to do it. What are the 3 to 5 most important priorities for you to do this week to hit that sales goal? That's it. You write those down. Now, throughout the week, if you come up with new ideas and thoughts, great, that's fine. They can go on the next week, or they can go on after you complete one of the goals. But when I was doing cold calling, one of the things was every day I had a target of calling up to 300 people every day. That was a target. That was one of my priorities. If I wasn't calling, I wasn't talking to people, and I wasn't making money. So that was one of the things I did first thing in the morning every single day. Now, obviously, there are other productive things. There's following up with people. There's going on listing appointments. There's all these other aspects. I'm not going to go through all those with you today, but I just want you to get an understanding of how to fill this form out. If you have any questions or thoughts, give us a comment. I'm always happy to shoot something back to you. The second source, Trulia, right? As I was adding more to my business, I was like, okay, I know I'm doing this much in cold calls. I want to double my business, and I want to do this much business on this new source. What are the 3 to 5 priorities that I need to do every single day? I made the commitment. I would go on Trulia every single day and contribute to either answering a question or putting in a blog post every day. No excuses. That was one of my priorities that was on the list. I did it every day. And then guess what? 18 months later, 90 leads. Do you see how that works? When you're focused on what's most important and you're doing the productivity items, you're helping get yourself to getting the results that you actually want. Now, my question to you is checking your email 10 times a day part of what's most productive? Is scrolling through TikTok 10 times a day what's most productive? And what do you have in place to make sure you're doing the things that are most productive? When you want to be distracted, because it's going to happen, you're going to want to be distracted. It's going to be uncomfortable. It's going to be weird. It's going to be difficult. And you can schedule time to have that time to do. I'm not saying don't do it at all, but are you being most productive? Can you get the hardest things out of the way? And do you know exactly what to do every week? The third source that was huge for me was Dave Ramsey's ELP program. I had the opportunity to be a part of that. I went all in on it. I had some tough times in the beginning, but I mastered it. I went all in, I focused, and I learned exactly what needed to be done every single day for that. So here's my challenge to you, is to print this document, fill it out, and pick 3 and go all in on those 3 for at least 6 months. Yes, 6 months. You can't change it. The reason that you keep failing over and over is because you're like, I'm going to try social media. And you do social media for a month and it doesn't work. And you're like, you know what? I'm going to try building an email list. And you build an email list for a week and it doesn't work. And then you go try, well, maybe I will try to cold call, but I really hate cold calling. Listen, don't cold call if you don't like cold calling. There are so many ways to generate business. I'm not telling you to do it the way that I did it. I'm just telling you that you can choose your source and the way that you want to generate, create, build, and maintain relationships, and then come up with the priorities and figure out exactly what it's going to take. You do this and commit to it for 6 months. Watch what happens to your productivity. Watch what happens to your business. You'll be more focused. You'll get more done. And here's one of the things I learned from experience is that you will actually create. Now, listen, you can't create more time, but you can get more productive with the time that you have, right? There's only 24 hours in the day and we all have them. The issue is that you are not maximizing the time that you have. You want more time with your family, get more productive. You want to go on more vacations, get more productive. You want to make more money, get more productive. The more productive and focused you get, the more time that you get back to create the life and live the life that you truly want. This is a gift that I learned that I can sit here and tell you all day, but you really won't understand the value until you get serious about your weekly productivity planner. You guys, this is super powerful. I wanted to make sure to share this and get you to this because this is the next step. You know your numbers, you're tracking them. Now, how do you maximize them so that once again, we can design our business around our life, not our life around our business. And you can actually utilize this for any area of life. And one last thing, give you an example. You want to lose weight. What are the 3 to 5 most important things that you need to do? You want to have a better relationship with your significant other. What are the 3 to 5 most important things you need to do? Do you see how this works? You can use it in every single area. But let's focus on getting more productive with real estate so that you can earn more income, have more time, and truly build the business that you love and that you're proud of. You guys, always a pleasure. Love you. Talk to you soon.